All right, so we're going to go ahead and finish up Unit 1, Equations and Inequalities, with absolute value equations. So today's goal is to solve multi-step absolute value equations. So let's first talk about what absolute value even is, okay? Absolute value is the distance from 0. So if I'm on a number line, I'm talking about how far away is that number from 0? How many spaces do I need to go to get to 0? So to denote absolute value, we use these absolute value bars. So this statement right here says the absolute value of 5. So that means how many spaces away is 5 from 0, which is 5 spaces. Okay, so if I'm on a number line and I'm at 5, to get back to 0, I have to jump 5 spaces. Absolute value of -2. Well, if I'm at -2 on a number line, let's go ahead and draw this out. If I'm at -2, I need to go to -1, and then I need to get to 0. So I'm trying to get right here. I have to go 2 spaces. So the answer is 2. If I put 3 on a number line, my distance from 0 is 3. And if I'm only at -1, then I only have to go 1 space. So I get 1. So notice that the answer to all absolute value questions has to be positive. So answers to absolute value must be positive. If I have an answer that's negative, then that means I don't have a solution to my equation. Must be positive. But notice on the inside, we can have a positive or a negative number. So that means that the absolute value of -3 is also 3, because it's going to be the same distance. Or the absolute value of +1 is also 1. So I can have a positive and a negative value for the inside of my absolute value bars. It will still always be a positive answer. So let's go ahead and think about that when we're solving absolute value equations. The first thing we want to do is think about these absolute value bars as parentheses. We want to isolate those absolute value bars first. Okay, so I need to get rid of everything else so that I can just focus on the absolute value part of the equation. Then we're going to write 2 equations after we do that. Because remember, the inside of my bars can be positive or negative. So that means one of them is going to have a positive answer and the other one is going to have a negative answer. Alrighty, and then we're going to solve both. So let's go ahead and try these out. So we're going to start by looking at the first one. If I have this first one, I want the absolute value bars to be the only thing that's in the equation. So right now, all I have are these bars. There's nothing else around them. So this one is already isolated. So what we're going to do is we're going to write x minus 12 equals +4, getting rid of my bars. I'm talking about just the inside right now. And x minus 12 equals -4. Because remember, if I have a +4 inside these bars, I will get +4. And if I have a -4 inside these bars, I will also get +4. So as long as they equal +4 or -4, then we'll get a good answer. And then we're going to just solve both equations. I'm going to draw my line, add 12 to both sides. This is just a one-step equation. And I have x is equal to 16. Draw my line, add 12 to both sides. This one is -4, so -4 plus 12 is 8, which means that my answer is x equals 8 and x equals 16. So I'm going to have 2 answers for absolute value equations. Okay, now let's look at the next one. The next one has that number on the outside, but I want to eliminate everything from my absolute value bar. So we think about this like if these were parentheses, okay? If these were parentheses, then I would be just distributing that 3. I would be multiplying. So the opposite of multiply is divide. So I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. Now I have the absolute value of x plus 5 is equal to -2/3. But remember, the answer to an absolute value equation with those bars has to be positive. So the fact that this is already negative tells me right away that I have no solution for this one. I can't actually solve it because absolute value has to equal positive. The inside, we write these with a positive and a negative because we drop the absolute value and we're just looking at the inside. The inside can be positive or negative, but when I still have the bars in my equation, that number has to be positive. So there is no solution for this one because I cannot make this number turn into a negative. It's not going to happen because this is going to end up being positive no matter what I do. All right, let's go ahead and try the last one. So the last one I'm going to rewrite over here. So we have 2x minus 1 in the absolute value bars minus 6 equals 8. So again, we want to eliminate everything that is not in absolute value bars. So I need to get rid of this minus 6. So we're going to do plus 6 on both sides, plus 6 on both sides. I get the absolute value of 2x minus 1, absolute value, is equal to 14. And so now I'm going to have two equations. I'm going to come on up here. So I have just the absolute value bars left. So I have 2x minus 1 is equal to 14. And 2x minus 1 is equal to negative 14. Alrighty. And then we're going to go ahead and solve. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I get 2x equals 15. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And I get x equals 7.5, or 15 over 2. And then let's solve the other one. We're going to add 1 to both sides, add 1 to both sides. 2x is equal to negative 13. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And x is equal to negative 6.5, or 13 over 2. So I have two answers. Notice that one of my answers can be negative. The x can be negative. It's the absolute value sentence that can't be negative. So if I have an absolute value equation with the bars still existing, it cannot equal this negative number, okay? But over here, we isolated it and then we rewrote it to talk about just the inside. So we're dropping the bars because we're talking about the inside piece. All right, that's literally it for absolute value, okay? So it's a little bit weird, but all you have to remember is that when the bars are still present, it can't equal a negative. And once we get the bars to be the only thing in the equation, then we just write two equations with one answer positive and one answer negative, and we solve. So we'll get two answers. Alrighty. So using our same equation rules, now we just have to remember absolute value has to have a positive answer, but the inside could be positive or negative. So I have to equal a positive, and then when I break it down, I need to make two equations that equal a positive answer and a negative answer. All right, that's it for Unit 1. We have done all of our basic intro equations, and we are going to be ready to move on to functions next in Unit 2. But let's go ahead and practice some absolute value equations and all that other equation stuff that we've done already this year. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and next time I see you here, we'll be on Unit 2, which we'll be talking about functions.